Hi all, welcome back to Software Engineering course. Let's get started. So today we will get started with code inspections. Inspection is nothing but your verification process or approach. So here code inspection means verifying the code which the programmer has written. Okay, and it is held after your code has been successfully compiled. Your code inspection is a technique that is applied at the unit level. All the units, that means the programs written by the developers, has to be inspected. It is also called as static testing. That means the defects are detected in the code by not by executing the code but through a manual process like viewing or reading the code. So here, this unit testing is applied for entirely a unit level at the unit level. That means the program units. Okay. So again, it is another form of unit testing. However, in practice, these both are employed when testing the critical modules. So how does this code inspections are held? So there will be a team of members or a group of members, so that will include the author, that is the programmer, designer, and the tester. And they will be given the design document as well as the documentation of or your code that will be given. So here in this meeting, there will be a moderator. Okay, there is a moderator. I mean, he is among either he is a programmer, designer, or the tester. He is the moderator. The work of the moderator is to drive the meeting. That means he has the responsibility of the meeting. So what do you mean by that now? So he has to ensure that the review is done in a proper manner and all the steps in the review processes are followed. Okay. So your code inspection, it aims at finding of the defects but not to fix them. Okay. Here the group of the team or the members like your programmer, designer, and the tester, they have to, their aim is to find out the defects in the code but not to fix them. Apart from detecting the defects in the code, they also check for the quality issues like coding standards, efficiency, etc. Right? Again, what type of defects has to be found out, that is given in a checklist, and based on the checklist these people have to find out the defects. So these inspections, as we all know, it is done by a group of people, right? So it is very expensive, as because someone's time is used for these inspections. Okay, so in this code inspection, how we find out the defects is like by reading the code. We have to carefully read the code so that we can find out the discrepancies between the design specification and what is actually implemented. So some of the characteristics of your inspections are: the first one, code inspection is conducted by the programmers and for the programmers. Next, it is a structured process, that means it has defined roles for the participants. The third one is the focus is on identifying the defects but not fixing them. And the last one, the inspection data, whatever you have collected, it is recorded and it is used for monitoring the effectiveness of the inspection process. Now, in the inspection process, we have three different stages. Those are planning, self review, and group review meeting. Now we will look into this. Okay. So now we will see what do you mean by planning, right? Here in the planning phase, we have to prepare for the inspection. Now that is the main objective of this phase or this stage. Now your inspection team, it should contain minimum 3 people, and sometimes it contains 4 to 5 people as well. Okay. Now among these 4 to 5 people, your programmer whose code will be inspected, he should be present. Now he is the author of that code, right? Then among them, a moderator is appointed. Moderator is the one who drives the meeting. He has the responsibility of the meeting. Now the author of the code, he ensures that the code is ready for the inspections. So how does he ensure that code is ready for inspection? So he has to check whether the entry criteria for the review is satisfied. So the entry criteria could be whether the code has been already compiled and it is compiled correctly, and it is available static tools are applied on that, it is a full code, or it is working properly or not. So he should be ready for the inspection. Now it is the moderator's duty to check whether the entry criteria is satisfied in the code. So if suppose the entry criteria is satisfied, what the moderator does is he creates a package, that is, he creates a package and he will distribute that package to the inspection team. Now this package, it consists of the code to be inspected, then the requirements for which the code was developed, and the checklist that should be used for inspection. Getting it? The package should contain three things. One is the code which is getting inspected, the requirements or the SRS from which, the specification or the requirement for which the code was developed, and the third one is the checklist that should be used for the inspection. Now, your package is given for review to the reviewers. Then the moderator, he may arrange an open meeting, or he may arrange a opening of the meeting if needed, in which the author may provide a brief overview like about what he has coded, and are there any special area that need to be or reviewed to be carefully. So your author may give these requirements as well. Now a checklist is used for inspections, as we had said, right? Now this checklist may be prepared at that moment, or they can use the already if they have the checklist already ready, they can use that as well. The aim of the code inspection here is to improve the quality, in addition to finding your coding defects. The type of the defects the code inspection should focus is on content in the checklist, and it is to be provided to your inspectors. The next one is the self review. So in this phase, each reviewer he does self review of the code. That means self is like the one he does the code review individually. During the self review, the reviewer goes through the entire code and he logs all the potential defects he or she finds in the self preparation log. So, these reviewers will mark the defect on the work product itself, and they may provide a summary of the self review log. The reviewers, they also record the time that they have spent for this self review. So basically it is nothing but a document. Okay, so what they do is like they have the in the document they have the project name and code, the reviewer's name, how much time they have spent for that particular review, number of defects. Then they may give criticality of seriousness of the defect they have found, the location or the line number which they have found, then description. So these all things they might give as a log. Okay, so this self review should be done in one continuous time span. The recommended time is less than 2 hours, that is the work product is small enough that it can be examined within 2 hours. Now this phase of the review process ends when all the reviewers have properly performed their self review and filled the self review logs. Now the third stage is like group review meeting. Now, the purpose of the group review meeting is to come up with the final defect list based on the initial defect list reported by the reviewers and the new ones which they have found during the discussion. So, here the entry criteria for this step is that the moderator is satisfied that all the reviewers are ready for the meeting. The output of this is it is defect log and the defect summary report. Okay, so here what happens is the moderator he first checks to see if all the reviewers are prepared. So this is done by brief examination of the effort and the defect data in the self review logs to confirm that the sufficient time and attention has been given for the preparation. So when the preparation is not adequate, or if the moderator feels that the reviewer is not prepared, the group review meeting can be deferred or it can be cancelled until all your participants are ready for the meeting. So if everything is ready, then the group review meeting can be held up. Okay. So the moderator is in the charge of the meeting and he has to make sure that the meeting stays focused on its basic purpose, that is the defect identification, and it does not degenerate into a general brainstorming session or personal attacks on the author. So, for example, if say suppose the author has made few or many mistakes, so here in the group review meeting, it should not be like you have to point out the author and you should scold him. No, that is not done. The entire process, the aim of your this code inspection is to find out the defect, right? So, how the meeting is followed? So, there is a process for that. Okay. So, here the team member, he is also called as the reader, he goes over the line by line of that code, okay, and paragraphs. So, what happens is like he reads the code basically, okay. Now, then the discussion on the issue is raised. But how it is raised? When the reader goes, or he dictates or he reads the code line by line, the reviewer, we have few people in the meeting, right, they might raise issue for that one. So if there is any issue, then the discussion is based on that particular issue which the reviewer has raised. Then the author accepts the issue as a defect, or he clarifies that it is not a defect, it is author's responsibility to defend now. So after discussion, an agreement is reached, and one member he records the identified defect in the defect log. Again, the defect log is analyzed to prepare the summary report. Okay, so these are the three stages in your code inspections. Now this ends your coding part. Okay, coding and unit testing. Coding. Yeah, this ends your coding and unit testing part. Now we will jump on to the other half of the chapter that deals with testing. So in testing, we'll discuss all these things like your testing concepts. There are many concepts over here, levels of testing and testing process, what is test plan, test case design and execution. Okay. First we will understand what is testing, then the approaches for identifying it, then we will move into testing concepts. Okay. So in a software development project, so as we all know, the errors can be introduced at any stage during development. So even though the errors are detected after each phase or the stage by the techniques such as inspections, reviews, but still some errors they remain undetected. So these remaining errors are reflected in the code. So the final code, it is likely to have some requirement errors and design errors in addition to the errors introduced during the coding activity. So to ensure the quality of the final delivered software, these defects will have to be removed. Basically, we have two approaches for identifying the defects in the software: static and dynamic. So, in static analysis, the code is not executed but it is evaluated through some process. So, through some process or tools to find the defect. For example, the code inspections that we just discussed, right? So, that is a static technique or the approach for finding the defect. The other one is the dynamic approach. So, what happens in dynamic analysis is code is executed and the execution is used for determining the defects. Testing is the most common dynamic technique which is employed. So, testing is the most commonly used technique for detecting your defects and it performs a very critical role for ensuring the quality. So, during testing, the software under test, okay, it is executed with a finite set of inputs, so or finite set of test cases, and the behavior of these test cases is evaluated to check if the system is performing as expected or not. We have to understand here the basic purpose of testing is to increase the confidence in the functioning of software under test. Again, your testing is expensive and it can consume unlimited amount of effort, and additional practical goal is to achieve the desired confidence as efficiency as possible. The effectiveness and efficiency of testing, it depends on the test cases that we select. Okay, so in the next slides we will understand what is a test case and all. Right, now we will look into the testing concepts. So first thing what we have to understand is the difference between error, fault and failure. Okay, the first one is error. Here the error, this term is used in two different ways. Now the error, it refers to the discrepancy between what is computed or observed and to that of the theoretical value. That is, your error, it refers to the difference between the actual output of the software and the correct output. So in this interpretation, we mean that the error is essentially a measure. It is a measure of difference between the actual and the ideal. Error is also used to refer a human action that results in software containing a defect or fault. So your error is also called as defects. Okay. The next one is fault. So fault is a condition that causes the system to fail in performing its required function. The fault is a basic reason for the software malfunction, and it is practically synonymous with the commonly used term that is bug. Bug and fault are synonymous terms, and somewhat they are more general term that is called as defect. So all these are synonyms. The term error is also often used to refer to the defects, right, which we had just now seen. Next is the failure. So failure is the inability of your system or the component to perform a required function according to its specifications. A failure, it occurs if the behavior of the software, it is different from the specified behaviors. So failures may be caused by the functional or performance factors. So it does not imply that failure must be observed. It is possible that a failure may not occur, but a failure may occur but not be detected. So there are some implications of these definitions. So presence of an error implies that your failure must have occurred, and the observance of the failure, it implies that fault must be present in the system. The presence of fault, it does not imply that the failure must occur. Okay, the presence of a fault in the system, it only implies that fault has a potential to cause a failure. Whether a fault has actually manifested itself in a certain time duration depends on how the software is executed. So there may be different definitions for these terms, but in general what we say in testing is like error, defect, bug, fault, these are all same. So whenever something is not working as expected, wherever your actual and the actual output and the expected output are not matching, we refer to them as it's a defect or it's a fault, it's a bug. Okay. Next we will study about test case, test suite and test harness. Okay. So we have used the terms test case, right? Basically maybe in the previous chapters and all, maybe we have used this term. So let's understand in detail what a test case means. So a test case, it is considered as comprising of a set of test inputs and execution conditions, so which can be implied or which can be executed on the software under test in a certain steps in a particular manner. A test case, it also specifies the expected outcome from executing the software under test under specified execution conditions and test inputs. So your test case is basically a document, and it contains the functionalities to be tested. What are the inputs for that functionality? What is expected from that functionality? So these have to be, the test case has to be written before your testing starts, or actual testing of your software starts. So what you have to write in a document is like the functionality, what are the entry criteria to it, like what is a prerequisite to it, what is the input you are going to give, what are you expecting when this input, whatever you have specified, is applied on the functionality or on the software, what you are expecting it. And So once you have your this functionality, likewise you can have multiple functionalities. The behavior of it, behavior in the sense only the expected behavior, not the actual behavior. So you have to write these things in a document. Okay, so once you have your software under test, or you have the software or the project for your execution or for testing, say after code is completed, then you'll have the software for test, right? And that is called as software under test. So what you have to do is, like, whenever you have the software with you for testing, you have to apply these test cases on the software. That means you have to run your test case on the software. How can we do that? So the basic process here is the manual one. So you read the test case, and whatever they are specified, say for login functionality, if I take an example, so there might be a step written in the test case saying open the URL, open a browser, type this URL, hit enter, then give this username, give this password, then click on submit. So these are the steps required to perform the login functionality. So say suppose these are the things which is written in the test case. What you have to do, you have to execute these steps when on the software. Okay, so you have to open a browser, then type in a URL, hit enter, then you give your username and password which is written in the test case, and then click on submit. Then you observe how your software behaves, whether it is giving error message or whether it is going to which page, whatever it is. You observe the behavior of your software. Then compare whatever you have observed with what is written in the test case. Okay, what is expected? There would be a column in the test case saying expected result. So just compare whatever you got with the expected thing in the test case. Check now whether both the things are same. That is, the expected and the actual behavior, whatever you got, is the same. If it is same, then that means the test case or the step has passed. If not, there is a bug in the system. Okay, so this is a test case. It is a document. It contains a set of inputs and the execution condition or the steps how you have to do a execution. Okay, then we have test suite. Now what is a test suite? So a group of related test cases that can be generally executed together to test some behavior or aspect of the software under test is called as test suite. Your test suite, generally it is a group of test cases. Again, this group of test cases, it behaves, or it has a common or a specific behavior. Okay, the last one is test harness. So it is a test harness or a test framework makes the life of a tester simpler by providing easy means of defining a test suite, executing it, and reporting the results. So, with the test framework, a test suite is defined once, and then, whenever needed, complete testing can be done by the click of a button or giving a command. Now, this means it refers to the collection of your software, test drivers, test data, and other supporting tools that are constructed to test an application. So, how do you construct or how do you test the application is by executing that particular application under different environments and analyzing its results. Again, your test harness, it uses test libraries to execute the test and generate the report. Okay, so it is again called as automation testing. Okay, so it helps in test case optimization by selecting specific test to run, execute. It executes test suites of test cases, then it analyzes your test results, it generates a report. So here what happens is, like in the test harness, it gives the tester a way of doing a work. That means the tester's work would be reduced here. Why? Because it is a framework that contains the test data, reports, libraries, and all. So your tester, so as a tester, what you can do is you can use it, or you can define it once, and whenever you need, like in the future, you can have it, or you can test it by a single click of a button or giving some command. Your entire script can be tested. Okay, so let's have a quiz now. So the question for your quiz is, in which approach of testing the code is not executed but it is evaluated through inspections or tools to locate the defects. You've got a minute of time to respond. Okay, time up.